I want to say these being around these teachers, these masters, they help you see what you haven't been able to see.
Paul Wong from Chicago has been helped by many masters: Amritānandamayī, the hugging saint, Amma Sri Karunamayi, Ramana Maharshi, and many others.
I would say connect to your feelings more than with your head.
And for the last 2 years, Paul's had a lot of opportunity to remain in touch with his feelings. He's had to stay in India due to COVID.
I want to give everybody a nice view of the mountain here and have a darshan, a blessing.
Paul's been walking the same pathway that Ramana Maharshi has, living near the base of Arunachla mountain outside of Ramana's ashram. His time spent here has taught him to look within for everything.
If you're seeking something, the answer's there, okay? The question that you have has the answer. It's there. And just trust, and it's coming to you. So just learn to trust that. And that's my message.
Welcome to Souljourns. This interview with Paul Wong was recorded in Tiruvannamalai, India, and Coronado, California, in January 2022. And a real big Souljourns welcome to Paul Wong, a friend of mine from America who's living right now in India. That's Arunachla behind you. I know that because everybody in the world who knows Ramana Maharshi knows it. And that's his ashram that you pointed to right behind you there. You're a stone's throw away. When did you get to India? How long have you been there? And what caused you to go in the first place?
I actually been coming to India probably for the last 9 years. I've been coming here for every year for the Amma Karunamayi's meditation retreat.
So, Paul, 2 years is a long time to be there, to Tiruvannamalai and Arunachla and Ramana's, really his ashram.
It's unbelievable if you could be here even for like a few days or most of the time people come here for a month or two, the visitors that come with the Amma group. But to be here for a whole year, yeah, it's a huge blessing. And the mountain, especially if you're a person that's been doing spiritual work, spiritual seeking work, it's the mountain is constantly working on you.
I think a natural question that I don't know the answer to, Paul, is how you first became interested in pursuing the teachings of Ramana Maharshi.
Yeah, let's go from the beginning. I actually was 10 years ago. I wasn't looking for spiritual seeking or anything, like 10 to maybe 12 years ago, and I was just looking to find the answers to why I'm suffering. So I was just sick, developed chronic asthma, and then had other type of chronic health issues. And then I was looking for studying different healing modalities, and from studying the different healing modalities, I was traveling around the world looking for teachers and healers, and then one of the healing systems I looked into or took some courses with is vortex healing, and they talked about avatars and saints. So I met Amritānandamayī Amachi, went to darshan with her. Even though a few years prior to that, I tried it for first, and I said, I don't do any of this guru stuff. It doesn't work for me. I was very skeptical. So I waited for maybe 2 or 3 years later, and then because people kept talking about how they've been impacted by these saints and avatars, and I'm like, okay, let me give it another shot again. So I went to see her in Detroit during her program, and stayed up all night, didn't sleep, and I didn't know how I had all that energy. Okay, from her staying up all night, hugging thousands of people, and I drove back from Detroit to Chicago with like maybe 15 minutes of sleep because the program was all night. And something happened, something shifted that my family, they started responding differently to me. So something happened, and then that following year, I started going to see her at retreats. And that next year, I met Amma Karunamayi in Cleveland, where you are from, and she puts her hand on my head during the individual blessing, and a stream of tears come out. And I said, something happened. I don't know what it meant, but something happened. And then that year, after I met her, I went to the winter retreat with her, and then I've been coming. Since then, I've been coming here. The first time I came here, like many people might find it, you're like, this is a peaceful, just a very peaceful type of place. But after spending more time with Amma Karunamayi, she's doing something to open up the channels for you. And the second time I came, I think maybe 2 years later, this place felt like a magical place.
And her mother, of course, as we said, a devotee of Ramana Maharshi. There's no mystery to me how that connection may have occurred in you. Jody and I have loved her for years, since her first visit to Cleveland in 2009. And we both think that she's maybe one of the world's greatest manifestations of love. Do you get that feeling when you're around her?
Yeah, absolutely. It's however you're feeling when especially when she comes, when everybody greets her, when she comes in, it's just like your lights just turn on instantly. It's hard to put in words, but yes, she definitely, your joy comes out instantly.
It really is hard to put into words. It's a real struggle for me and friends and relatives and people I know and like a lot who are not onto this form of a spiritual path. How do you do it when people who are in that position ask you about, hey, Paul, you're going to India all the time, and you see these people who come through America from time to time. Tell me, what's it all about? What got you involved? How do you answer them?
I want to say being around these teachers, these masters, they help you see what you haven't been able to see, what we're unconscious of. And we all have these programs that we're not conscious of, and we're running it, playing it, that could be causing you to be unhappy, struggling with a relationship or your work or your business, and not connecting to maybe the truth of life. Yes. People here are coming to seek the truth of life.
And hear the truth of life. We were listening to the bird song. They're competing with you for loudness, and they're beautiful. So that must be nice to wake up to every day. There
are parrots flying around here. There are peacocks. I've seen so many different exotic birds here. It's amazing. It's kind of a paradise, spiritual paradise here.
Yeah. Ramana Maharshi'S been around since before the turn of the last century. For the beginner or the person who's completely new to Ramana's teachings, and you mentioned self-inquiry. Could you give me just Paul's understanding of what self-inquiry is all about?
Okay. So self-inquiry is called Jnana Yoga. And, in the West, people think about yoga as just physical exercises, but there's different forms of yoga, right? Jnana Yoga means knowledge, the yoga of knowledge. The yoga means union with the divine. So Jnana Yoga is to inquire. And when we inquire, we can have thoughts. And then when we inquire, we are trying to connect to the source of our thoughts, our source of sometimes it could be your beliefs or your responses in life. And by seeking the source of it, Ramana has the who am I practice. And by asking that with an intention to connect to the source, my experience is that the information and knowledge starts to get downloaded to you. So the key from my perspective is, I think that a lot of people don't connect to it well, just because they're trying to mentally get it. You want to connect to it with your heart. And then when you connect it to it with your heart, that's when the information gets downloaded to you. That's when the illumination comes. And he wants you to, I would say, connect to your feelings more than with your head.
Paul, you put it very well. But there are people who come to Souljourns sometimes, I think out of curiosity, and they don't know much about the subjects being discussed. And I know that there's a myth for some people who are brand new to self-inquiry, that it's a very difficult path, that it's very challenging. And the truth that we've found is that it's almost the complete opposite. It isn't difficult at all once you have the very fundamentals explained to you. How much of a challenge was it for you to first learn it?
It actually was a challenge because myself and other devotees have said that it's because of spending time with Amma Karunamayi. She said that like if we first do this, if we don't have a calm mind, then it's harder to do inquiry. By spending time with Amma Karunamayi, by doing her meditations, she starts to help you get a calmer mind, have a more, they call it sattvic mind. So if you have a more sattvic mind, then it's easier to do the inquiry. Otherwise, it's your mind, in our mind, if we're meditating, we have too many thoughts, and then it's going to be a little bit harder. So that's why there's other types of yoga, like karma yoga, which is doing a lot of service, physical activities, or doing japa, which is chanting mantras. So I've been chanting mantras for the last 9 years, and then it just doing the inquiry has been a graduate process. And I think you'll have a chance to interview Sri Brachmam. He is a realized master from Andhra Pradesh, same state as Amma, and he runs the Ramana Ashram. And about 2 years ago, I met him, and before I didn't quite get the inquiry, but sitting with him in his presence, it started to download into you how to do the inquiry. So by being around like holy people, teachers like that, it's not their words or to tell you to read a book. It's just sitting in their presence is what started teaching you how to do it. I didn't read a book or try to analyze how to do who am I. It's the presence. So that's how I could best say it. When you're around people like that, then it naturally gets transferred to you. It's a transmission.
That's excellent. Say his name one more time so those interested might be able to look him up. I know he's on YouTube and Facebook too.
Sri Brachmam, Brahmam, Sri Brachmam. And he realized at the age of 27 at Ramana Ashram, I think he's like 79 now. So just a sweet, like he has a family, he has grandkids. We also refer to him as Nana, which means grandfather. And some of his YouTube videos, well, he's giving a discourse, but the key from my standpoint is not to try to mentally analyze or learn what he's saying. Just sit there with an open heart and be in his presence. Even if you watch the YouTube videos, you'll feel the transmission, and don't try to mentally get it, just feel it and stay with it, and let his presence do the work for you. And then if you listen to it a number of times, you start to naturally get the inquiry. That's my experience with it. But he has a unique experience, which is he was sitting in the Ramana ashram. He was looking at the Ramana picture or the Ramana Samadhi there. Mm-hmm. And he just said, if I'm eligible, either give me realization or give me death. Not many people will be willing to say that. All right. So it's very fortunate for anyone to be able to spend some time with him. And by spending time with him, you'll naturally feel the peace, this eternal peace that these masters talk about. Oh. Self-realization, having this permanent peace.
Yeah.
That we find it from time to time during the meditation and doing these practices we find, but when you realize you're done. My understanding of realization is that maybe different people have different awakenings of different levels. To be like a Ramana or a Sri Brachmam, they are. I think that somebody told me, Papaji says there's only maybe 20 of them on the whole planet. Okay, and I have heard like hundreds of people having different awakenings. So and maybe they are getting the partial realization. I don't know exactly how that works.
I don't know either. It could be an intermediary or a beginning level of it, where they just see everything different now. And what about you? What's on the agenda for you after you leave Arunachla, Ramana Maharshi'S ashram? Are you coming back to the States?
I eventually do have to come back to Chicago because they want you to the foreigners that are living here for the last 2 years or for an extended period to leave. So I do have to go back to the U.S. to get a visa.
When you get back to Chicago, assuming it's sometime soon, as I think we discussed earlier, it could very well be, Do you expect that your life will have changed, presumably for the better, in ways that you'll start to notice even more so when you come back home?
Yeah, it's already changed. It's always changing, and because I actually have a holistic healing practice, and the knowledge of the mountain here and the 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 inner work that you do here, it actually translates to helping my clients. So it's actually really helpful. The things that I can work with my clients is because of my own inner sufferings. I call it we all have triggers in life. You can become uncomfortable and restless, and different people can be triggering you all the time. So the beautiful thing is, by being on a mountain or being an ashram with a teacher, a master, is that these triggers that come through you are your unconscious patterns that you haven't never dealt with. And if you could deal with it, and especially the line of work I have, I can actually help my clients in a much deeper way, because they don't get to spend time at the mountain or at ashrams, but we all have similar common human issues that needs to be addressed. So I honestly, it's like this mountain here is responsible for the teaching, Ramana and the mountain.
Well, Paul, you make it sound very interesting. You've got a tremendously fascinating story, which is ongoing. I don't think they ever conclude as long as we're in the physical form. You keep learning something new. For those of you who relate, as I'm sure there will be, to everything you're saying and would like to have more information about you, are you at liberty to give either a website?
Yeah, the Heart Wisdom Process.
The Heart Wisdom Process?
Heart Wisdom Process. And this is from spending time with these masters, this is kind of like this body of work that based on the insights pieced together, I try to use this to help people with their struggles in life.
That's nice. That's really nice. We're down to our last minute or so, and I want to give the last thoughts to you. If you have anything you'd like to add or you'd like to say now that you have this opportunity, what might it be that might come through as very encouraging and supportive to others who are on this spiritual path, Paul?
If you're seeking something, the answer's there, okay? The question that you have has the answer. It's there. And just trust, and it's coming to you, and you may not even be immediately conscious of it. So the universe is there for you, and it's always has been there always for you. So just learn to trust that. And that's my message as far as, for my own self and for my work too.
It's a succinct message and extremely appropriate given the conversation we're having today. Paul Wong from Chicago, who's now in the home of Ramana Maharshi'S ashram with the great mountain behind you, Arunachla. Thank you for joining us on Souljourns, and God bless you and good luck. And I'll see you on the trail somewhere once you get back to America.
Well, hey, thanks so much, Ted. It's been an honor to be on your show. I appreciate it. And I want to give everybody a nice view of the mountain here and have a darshan and a blessing.
Very good. Thank you very, very much. And we'll see you along the way. God bless.
Okay.